Do you think people who refuse to comply with congressional subpoenas should be prosecuted by the Justice Department and at the end of the day go to jail?
Yes.
Now, you might be wondering, what happens if you're under a subpoena to appear for a hearing and you don't show up?
If you act deliberately with sneering, cavalier contempt for the American people and their representatives, we will hold you in contempt. In America, when you are subpoenaed to testify in court or in Congress, you show up, period.
There are distance requirements, mandatory witness fees, and other steps necessary in order to properly serve someone with a subpoena to appear.
That if we fail to hold Steve Bannon accountable, that he will be the exception. He will become the rule. Either we are all equal before the law or none of us is. This is the essence of our democracy.
Either we're all in this together, either the rule of law applies to everyone equally, or we lose out on a fundamental aspect of our democracy, that the rule of law applies to everyone and no one is above that law.
Mr. Bannon stands alone in his complete defiance of our subpoena. That's not acceptable. No one in this country, no matter how wealthy or how powerful, is above the law.
And if he refuses the subpoena, like we expect him to continue to do, then we're left with no other choice than to ask the Justice Department, lock him up.
The plain fact here is that Mr. Bannon has no legal right to ignore the committee's lawful subpoena.
If Steve Bannon is just going to flout his nose at a congressional subpoena and say that it doesn't apply to me, then he needs to be charged and he needs to be put in jail.
Mr. Bannon's willful disregard for the Select Committee's subpoena demonstrates his utter contempt for the American people's vision that defies the rule of law and rejects the will of the American people.
We're serious about this. And anybody that is either being subpoenaed now or will be in the future, think twice before you reject a lawful order from Congress.
When you get a subpoena, the law requires you to comply.
No one is above the law.
I sent people out to pick people up that ignored my subpoenas.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how it's done.
Child, the sheriff?
Yes.
That's right. Would drive up to the house?
Yes.
And snatch your behind.
Yes.
And put you in the jail while everybody figured stuff out. Maybe that's what needs to happen.
It does matter if the new normal is that if you're a Trump ally, you don't have to respond to subpoenas. It matters whether or not he feels safe defying the law here.
Steve Bannon, who defied the committee with his sort of characteristic two-shirted defiance, told you guys to go take a long walk off a short pier. What's the lesson here?
The lesson is please tell your children out there in America, if you get a subpoena to go before Congress or you get a subpoena to go to the court, go.
What's your message to people who defied congressional subpoenas on the January 6th committee?
I hope that the committee goes after them and holds them accountable.
Should they be prosecuted by the Justice
Department?
I do,
yeah.
If you were properly served with a subpoena and you don't appear for the hearing, then the judge can issue a warrant to have you picked up and brought before the court. Also, if you fail to comply with a subpoena, then you could be punished with contempt by both confinement in jail, a fine, or both.